Hello and welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. You are gathered with us for the most chaotic wrestling recap show in the universe. This is all for
NAWT not.
NawT.
Uh,
All right.
all right.
That might have been the best take yet.
Might have been the best one. Slowly we're getting there. All right. So we are here to recap Raw and NXT for this week. Raw for
Spring
April
breaking.
24th and NXT Spring Breaking from April 25th. Mr. Sammy Joe, you want to kick us off with Raw?
Well, kicking off Raw was Cody Rhodes to a confused crowd.
Mr. Homelander himself. I hate his gear. I hate that stupid, terrible Homelander USA gear. But yes, I came down to the ring, gave a little promo, and was interrupted by none other than the Judgment Day. And, well, I guess technically Finn Balor, really. And Cody challenges Finn after some back and forth to a match later tonight. So that, I assume, let me just make sure here, that gets set up to be the. Oh, it's not the main event. It's the second to main event. Rey Mysterio's the main event. But so that match gets set up for later in the night, and then we move on to the actual first match of the night, which was the Bloodline versus the LWO, the Usos and Solo Sikoa versus Santos, Cruz del Toro, and Joaquin Wild. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Well, is he Joaquin Wild?
That's what
I
they
don't
said.
think
I
he's Joaquin
swear.
Wild anymore.
I know we had this discussion before. The one guy changed his name, got changed to Cruz del Toro, but I still think the other
Yes.
dude is Joaquin Wild. I'm pretty sure at least that's what they were. I feel like that's what they said on Raw a couple times, but I could be wrong.
It, yeah,
Either way, it
they
is what
like
it is.
changing people's names.
They do, they do. So my notes say solid match, 6 good wrestlers. I still find it weird to see Santos as a face, but
I've said it before and I'll say it again. I feel like Santos would be better off with Los Lotharios.
yeah. The Bloodline win. Usos challenge after the match. The Usos challenge Sammy and KO to the rematch for the title on Friday on SmackDown. Then we cut backstage. It's Bianca giving a promo, and she is interrupted by our favorite resident Raw Mean Girls, I guess, Damage Control,
Mm.
who come out and talk some shit. They have a little back and forth. Blah blah blah. I didn't really have any notes that came out of that seemed really important. And then
I really hope for the best for Io Sky. Like,
yeah, they need to. I hope at the draft they break up Damage Control. They just the way they've booked them and how much they've buried them. It hasn't been good for any of them. As they just see all three
mm-hmm.
of them just separate and do their own thing. I don't mind. Like I don't mind any of them. I don't mind Io and Dakota as a tag team. But I don't like the three of them together, mostly because of the booking. They had such an opportunity with those three stars to do something amazing with the booking, and they just decided to not do anything. So
Yeah. I mean,
not
Io
not do
is
anything, but actively bury them, actively shit on them plenty of times. Like
Io is a world champion.
mm-hmm. Bailey's a world champion.
I don't
So
know
we were.
if Bailey's going to be a world champion again, though, the way that she's been booked.
Yeah, I don't know that she will either, but she has been in the past. I think she needs to go back to being a face. I don't think heel Bailey
Mm-hmm.
works. I just don't. I don't like
No.
it. She's so much better as a face. Let's see. So we were back
But
from
her
commercial.
longest reign as champion was as a heel, though.
Yeah, I don't know. I think she's. I I feel like she hasn't been as over with the crowd as a heel as she was a face. As a face, everybody loved her. As a heel, I don't feel like she gets the same response. Even the bad response, like it's more. I feel like at this point, Damage Control almost has go away heat as opposed to actual heat. Just or You know what I mean? Like, we don't want to even see you at this point. Like, just,
Yeah.
you know. Um, so I don't know, which is really unfortunate because, like I said, all three of them are so talented. And, Dakota Kai hasn't had what I would call a real opportunity yet on the main roster. I mean, not to be herself and do her thing. I mean, so let's see. Then we came back from commercial and we had Jay on the phone and Sammy shows up and they have a little conference tete-a-tete where they exchange some words. Then we get a video package about Trish single-handedly changing the women's division, which then morphs into Trish backstage, talking shit about Becky, and that she's out because she can't handle the pressure.
Can't handle the pressure.
Then exciting there. Let's see. Then Street Profits came out to the ring for a match. Street Profits for Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander. This was my notes say good match. Street Profits win with Tez Splash. I kind of have this sinking feeling in my stomach that they're going to split up Street Profits in the draft. I hope they don't. I don't understand why.
Everybody's saying it. Like I don't get people. I really don't.
What I don't understand is why everybody feels like in order for someone to get a singles run, you have to split up a tag team. Like, you could give Tez a singles run, which is what everybody wants, and still have the Street Profits as a tag team. They're just not doing anything at the moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't actively have to split them up. I mean, just to give Tez a run, he can have a run while they do tag team matches. I mean, you could do
Man,
both. I mean,
too many wrestling fans are mini Bruce Pritchards. They all think the same way that Vince does.
Then we had the what I'm calling the WWE Tony Khan moment of the show, where we had a big announcement announced, and Triple H came out, and talked some shit, made it really sound like no one can beat Roman Reigns, and so as a consolation prize, here's a new belt that will go on the channel or on the brand that Roman isn't drafted to. So
I dig it.
I mean, I like the new belt look. I don't dig the whole new title thing. I don't like.
If I was professional wrestler, I'd rather have the new belt than what Roman Reigns is carrying.
Well, I mean, just maybe for aesthetics or just for the idea of having a new belt, but like the concept that no one can beat Roman.
Aesthetic wise, I think it looks more like a wrestling championship than because the WWE championship looks like a toy. This doesn't look like a toy.
I would agree with that. You can definitely see that it's got more of that. I guess Triple H is a huge fan of the big gold belt style, and so it has more of that.
Mm-hmm.
But with the flair that someone feels it has to have by putting the big WWE right in the middle of it.
Branding.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that's Vince. So, my thing is more about the implications of the belt and the actual practical application of a new title as opposed to the aesthetics of the belt. I thought the belt looks good. I mean, people complaining about it being ugly, I thought was dumb. I thought it looked good. Mm-hmm. But I'm a spinner belt fan, so that tells you what I like. What do you mean?
Who do you want to win in the title?
Who do I want to win the new title? I mean, it's a little unfair because I don't know who's going to be on the show that it's going to be on. I mean, my hope would be that it would be someone that hasn't maybe won a title or hasn't won a bunch of titles. I mean, I don't really want to see it on Seth Rollins. I don't really want to see it on Randy Orton. I wouldn't mind seeing Matt Riddle win it. I wouldn't mind seeing Solo Sikoa win it. Either of those guys would be fine. A KO or a Sami Zayn, assuming they get split up in the draft. I'd be happy with one of them. You could take a long shot and maybe someone like a Finn Balor or a Damian Priest. I'd be happy with either.
Yeah, Finn Balor is who I want, especially given this little run he's had since WrestleMania. Like, well, he got 14 staples, and like he's been wrestling every week.
Mm-hmm.
Like nothing happened.
Yeah.
Man
No,
is an animal.
I think there are some guys that definitely deserve it over some others. I mean, I have my concerns that it's going to be put on somebody that's had it before and the regular old 3 or 4 at the top, but who knows? We'll just have to kind of wait and
Hmm.
see. So we won't obviously know that until people are drafted and the split is actually, put in place and we know what show the new belt's going to be on and who's actually competing for it. So H has made that announcement. Basically buried the roster so no one can beat Roman Reigns. So we had to create a new title. So here's the question: do we have 3 belts, or is Roman's 2 become 1?
It
And
has become one.
okay, and it's just the Blue Universal belt. Is that correct?
Uh,
Or
it's
is it
the undisputed WWE Heavyweight Champion of the world.
okay? Okay, I'd have to look that up to even familiarize myself with which belt that actually is. Um, but
WWE Undisputed Universal
I just
Champion
mean
of the world. I
looking at
think.
it aesthetically, which one it is visually.
Oh, it's both.
You're talking about he's holding both titles in his hands at the same time.
I think eventually they'll change it and make it purple. That's
Okay.
my guess. I
Because
could be
one's red and
wrong, but
one's
that's
blue,
my
right?
guess.
For Raw and SmackDown, right? One's red, one's blue, right? Yeah.
Well, one's black and one's blue.
Oh, that's right. It's black. It's not red. That's right. It's black and blue. So we'll see what ends up happening. The whole thing is weird to me, but it is what it is. I mean, I don't have any issue, and as long as the brand split stays split, I'm all for having a heavyweight championship or a big title on both brands. I just think this is a weird way to go about it. I think this is creating a new title is just a weird way to go about it. But it is what it is. And we move
I
on to the.
don't think there was any need for this whatsoever.
I agree.
The problem is that they're not wanting to take the title off of Roman. That's the only problem.
Right, and that's the only reason they did this. Not only isn't there anybody that can take the title off of Roman, but we don't want to take it off of him. I mean, we want him to have it for who knows how long. I mean, at this point, with another belt on another show, he could have it for the next fucking 20 years. I mean, it's the whole
That's what
thing.
I said. If they're going to have another belt, they could go ahead and just let him beat Bruno's record now.
That's really stupid, dude. I will be very frustrated. Let me tell you, whatever show Roman Reigns is on, dominating as champion, I will not be watching. Sorry, people. Somebody else is going to have to review or watch that show. I'm not doing that.
And here's the thing: is that it's much more important having two of the tag team titles because, like, you got a dozen different teams that we can work with, and like, it's a bit much having them all on. Having them together because then the mid card tag teams basically aren't going to get a shot. The LWO, they're not going to get a shot. Imperium, they're not going to get a shot.
Yeah.
Brawling Brutes, they're not going to get a shot.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be the same like 3 or 4 tag teams instead, and we don't need that. That's why we need 2 separate tag team titles, so it's not the same 3 tag teams winning constantly.
No doubt. I agree. So that brought us into the third match of the night, which was Damage Control versus Bianca Belair with her 2 teammates, the women's tag team champions, Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan. My notes say here, so Bianca and Asuka is done. They wrestled once at WrestleMania, and that story's just over. I mean, because apparently she's in this program with Damage Control. So what?
Yeah,
I mean,
Io Sky.
right,
That
that's what I'm
match.
saying. So I guess I don't. Bianca and Asuka are just done. They just have the one off of WrestleMania and move on. That's awesome
Now the
storytelling. Like
story was that Bianca was in fact ready for Asuka.
there was no build up. Why should there be any follow up? So, let's see. Then let's see. I have okay match. Bianca and tag champs win. That's basically what my notes say. I wasn't overly impressed with the match again. Damage control buried, taking the loss. Anything you wanted to say about that match?
Not in particular.
Then we got a video
Was what it
package
was.
from last week's Raw with Bronson Reed attacking Lashley in Theory. Then we got Austin Theory live in the ring. and it's about I've been up to three-way at Backlash: Reed, Lashley, Austin Theory, which I'm looking forward to. So far, that's the match that's got me most excited at this point for Backlash.
Yeah.
Um,
And I think Theory loses this time.
no way, no. To who? To either one of them? Either he loses. So if he loses without being pinned, because Vince likes him. So if Vince has anything to do with what's going on, he wants to protect Austin Theory, right? So if he loses, he's not taking the pin. It's got to be either Bronson Reed or Bobby Lashley taking the pin from the other one. If Austin Theory is not retaining here, I think
But
somehow.
here's the thing: is that they've been building up Bronson. Have they been building up Bronson just for him to take the defeat here? And meanwhile, for Bobby's one of the guys that they've been building up for the world title, and it's
Right.
like,
No, I mean,
I expect Bobby to not be pinned or to win. What I was expecting is Bronson to beat Theory, is what I was expecting.
I suppose I can see that happening. The problem is that they're grooming really all three of these guys at the same time. They're in a position where it's not really great for any of these guys to take a pin really clean.
No.
It depends on how it works out. I think what happens is somehow Reed and Theory take each other out, and Austin Theory sneaks in for a cheap win. You know what I mean? A dirty pin somehow. I don't know what's going to happen, but I think something like that's going to happen. Bronson splashes Lashley and bounces off and can't get the pin, and Austin Theory jumps in and takes it in the meantime, or something like that. I think he's going to retain in a sneaky way. I think they're probably ultimately leading to Bronson Reed beating Austin Theory. I just don't know that it happens in this match. I think it might be better set for a one-on-one, which is probably what's going to happen, because Lashley should be on to something different. He needs to be on to the world title for sure.
Yeah. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe that's not the plan with Bobby. But I just assumed from the way that Bobby's been built the last couple months that that's what it's been leading to, is he's eventually going to be back in the world title scene. Because who else is there? You got literally three guys who can challenge Roman.
Right, for sure. Yeah, and assuming that Bobby ends up on a different, on the other brand from Roman, he'd be perfect to be the champion on another brand. So, or at least in the title picture, competing for the title, the new title. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens here. What do you got next? I've got Rick Boogs, Elias, and Alpha Academy segment backstage talking about the draft. And then Alpha Academy coming to the ring for the fourth match of the night, which was Chad Gable versus Ali. Good match. Both guys can wrestle. I wish they'd given him more time. My notes say solid match. Ali wins.
Sorry about that. Got a phone call.
No problem. I was just talking about Chad Gable versus Mustafa Ali, or Ali. I guess he's just Ali now. But like I said, both guys are good wrestlers. Solid match. There's not much story here. I don't know what the story is of anything. I think it's just kind of a one-off filler match because they got to put something in the middle that 3 hours to fill. But you can't complain that you can see Chad Gable wrestle Ali. The only complaint I had was that they could have given him more time. These guys were so good that they could have had more time and actually had a.
Man, Chad Gable as well. These are two guys that I feel like if they were in any other company in the world, they'd be big stars, and the best WWE can do for them is mid-card.
Yeah, at best, yeah. Sub mid-card sometimes. Let's see then.
I see them, and I see Rich Swann, how he left and he went to Impact, and he's one of the top 5 guys of Impact.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And either of these two guys, I feel like they could do that. They could go over to Impact, and they are one of the top 5 guys.
I agree. I'd love to see Chad Gable in New Japan for a little while.
Oh,
right.
Man.
That would be amazing,
no
right?
kidding.
Yeah, but either them, Impact,
especially for the G1 or the Cup.
Yeah,
man. Chad Gable in the cup. Whew.
Yeah.
Yes, please. Give me doubles of that.
Right. So let's see. Then we moved on. I got Sammy and Jimmy talking backstage again, or was it Sammy and Jay the first time?
The first time it was him talking to Jay
It was him talking to Jay. So
and
now he's talking to Sammy.
Jimmy.
I'm sorry, now he's talking to Jimmy. Jimmy and Sammy are talking. I don't really have any notes. So what did they say? Do you have notes about what they actually said? Because I don't remember now.
Jimmy tells him that KO is going to betray him.
That's right. Okay, that's right.
And
go ahead.
then after that, we had Sammy talking to KO and Riddle.
Oh, see, I missed that in my notes. I have the next match is Cody versus Finn. Somehow I missed that.
Oh. And so KO says, why does he even care about these two? And that he needs to let it go. And Riddle relates the story to himself and talks about Randy on how everybody said that Randy's just going to RKO you and betray you, and he never did.
Yeah, makes sense. And he didn't. We'll see when he comes back and what happens if they pick up where they left off, and if he does it at that point. I was always waiting for him. I mean, Randy Orton is the vintage Randy Orton is to turn on his partner, right? And so
He's a snake.
Always, for sure.
Yeah,
And
he's a
one
snake.
of the best. He's one of the best at doing it. So I think that's why they do it, because he's so good at doing it. Yeah, and I keep waiting for that to happen. So we'll see when he comes back what happens. So then we got the fifth match, right? We got Cody versus Finn.
Yeah.
Yeah. My notes say best match of the night. I got Cody. Cody takes the win, gets the win here. Both guys really good wrestlers, both solid, in-ring workers. I mean,
did we talk about Rey Mysterio?
I got. Maybe not. Did we talk about Rey Mysterio? Nope, I did not talk about Rey Mysterio. Where did he come in at?
Rey Mysterio did stuff too. Moving on.
I got him in the main event against the Damian Priest, but I didn't have anything else before that. Cody
I
Finn.
thought that there was a backstage promo, but I might have dreamt that.
Cody Finn. Anything you want to say about Cody and Finn?
I'd be surprised if one of these two guys here isn't the world champion, but it's probably or Seth Rollins, because
I mean, the most likely scenario I see in my head, though it does nothing for the story of Cody Rhodes, is that Cody Rhodes is on the brand with the new belt, and he ends up being the first champion of the new belt, the first holder of the new belt. That doesn't really do anything for finishing the whole I want the belt that my dad didn't achieve story, but it is what it is, right?
Because this isn't that belt.
I know, that's what I mean. So, but is that belt really even around per se? I mean, it is, but it isn't. Not in the same incarnation it was then, even. So, by name,
it's the WWE Championship, which is the black and gold one.
Right, which doesn't look anything like it did when Dusty was competing for it, right? Or wanted to compete for it, or wanted to be heavyweight champion, right? So, it is what it is. I mean, it's debatable whether he can actually satisfy that goal ever, because it's not the same belt anyhow, other than by name. But I imagine Cody will probably be the first holder of the new belt. We'll see. That's my guess.
I think we should get rid of the toy belt and bring back the winged eagle. I'm just saying.
I don't mind the winged eagle. I have best match of the night on my notes here for Cody versus Finn. That led into Judgment Day and a Bad Bunny video recap, hyping up Bad Bunny versus Damian Priest in Puerto Rico. Showed everything that happened last week. Bad Bunny came out and smacked everybody with a kendo stick, blah, blah, blah. And then we got Seth Rollins coming to the ring, giving a promo, talking trash about the new belt and blah, blah, blah. And then almost comes to the ring. My notes here say I could care less for Seth and Almost.
Well, that's funny because I couldn't care less.
Oh yes, I guess I couldn't care less is what I meant to say. I couldn't care less. I could care more. How's that? Um, I feel bad for Seth. My notes say I feel bad for Seth. Now he's stuck in this fucking thing with Almost. Like, Almost just feels like a black hole. I mean, it's like and poor Seth. Like, Tyler Black is so good, and I don't know. I mean, I ask myself over and over and over again. I know his wife is there, and I get it, and it's whatever. I mean, I've said it on this channel a billion times. Even with AEW, WWE, special WrestleMania, special WrestleMania, especially WrestleMania main event is the top of the pinnacle, right? As a professional wrestler,
I said it before. Actually, there was this video. Yeah. So back in the day with the Shield, and they had their little powwow in the locker room. And I had commented on the WWE video of that after AEW became a thing. Because in the video, you have Mox, Dean. He just storms off immediately. Just from the word go. And then you got Seth, and he stands there for a minute. He hesitates. He looks at Roman. And then he leaves too. And I said, that's pretty much how their careers in WWE are going to go. That's what I commented on that video. You got Mox storming off, and you got Seth, who's going to hesitate, but eventually will leave too.
Yeah. Yeah, I sure hope so. I mean, I get it. His wife is there. They pay well. Again, the headlining WrestleMania is still, probably the biggest thing that any wrestler can do. But he's done that, right? He's headlined WrestleMania. And so I'd love to see him get a run somewhere else. I'm not him. Obviously, WWE does something for him. He's happy. He's content. It appears so. More power to him. But I would love to see him.
Who did he headline against?
Oh, I don't know. I'd have to look back at it. I mean, maybe I'm making I was just making a statement.
Yeah, I don't remember him main eventing.
Maybe he hasn't. Maybe he hasn't had that moment yet. But he's been champion for sure, and he's main evented, several premium live events. Maybe it hasn't been a WrestleMania, but he's been, in that main event picture for a long time, off and on.
It's always Roman.
Yeah,
it's always Roman.
That's true. Then we got the final match of the show, which is the main event: Rey Mysterio versus Damian Priest. It is. I have good match. Damian Priest is putting it on Rey, and then we got the interruption from Bad Bunny. Bad Bunny comes out with a kendo stick. What else? Let's see. My notes say he announces he's in the match. I'm trying to remember from watching it. He doesn't actually get in the match, does he? He announces he sets up a match for him and Damian at Backlash in the street fight, right? He gets in the ring and he smacks Damian with the kendo stick. Anything else? Do you remember that stood out about this main event segment that I'm missing?
Sorry, my mind was elsewhere. I was thinking about all these WrestleManias that Roman Reigns is now main evented. I think Roman's going to beat the record.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd have to look that up to see. I don't know how many he's main evented.
In the last 10 years, he's done what, 7?
Well, like I said, I'd have to look that up. I mean, he's definitely main evented this year. Main evented last year, right?
Didn't main event the year before, but that's because he was out.
Right. The year before.
And didn't main event the year before that because that was the women.
Okay.
But he did the year before that, and 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 the year before that, though, was the Daniel Bryan year.
Okay.
But, he did it for, 4 years in a row, and he's done the last 2. So, okay, that's 6.
That's
6 years.
6 years and 7 years, or 6 and 8 years?
In his 10 years in the company, he's main evented 6 WrestleManias.
Yeah, that's a pretty good streak. It's nice to be Roman Reigns, I guess. in WWE.
Mm.
So, main event. Did you want to comment at all on Rey Mysterio, Damian Priest, Judgment Day, LWO, Bad Bunny,
Um,
Damian Priest at Backlash, which I assume will be a very good match. We've already seen that Bad Bunny can, hold his own in the ring. It's debatable whether he or Logan Paul has. I think Logan Paul's had a better showing overall, but Bad Bunny, prior to Logan Paul showing up, was definitely the best celebrity that we had as far as in ring skill.
I used to think that they were dumb, but now I like Judgment Day.
Yeah. So this should be a good match at Backlash. Damian and Bad Bunny should be decent at Backlash. Um, yeah. I don't have the match didn't actually have a winner, right? It just evolved because I don't have a winner here in my notes. I think it just
Uh,
evolved. Maybe. Uh,
I don't
so
remember. To be honest, to be completely honest with you, I do not remember.
that's because I don't think there was an actual finish. All right, so that wraps up Raw, and that brings us to NXT, which was NXT Spring Breakin' this week, and I just messed up my whole screen. Let's see.
I didn't care for the video package.
Me either. I have really fucking stupid in my notes. I have NXT Spring Break activities, I guess. Really fucking stupid.
So I think a lot of these people will be moving in the draft.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be interesting seeing who doesn't get drafted.
Hold on for 1 sec.
Because I think a lot of these people are getting drafted. It is what it is. I'm looking forward to the mayhem.
I always debate, how many are going to be. I always think there's going to be more than there are. Every time there's a draft or when there has been a draft in the past. I realistically see a couple. I don't see like them gutting NXT. Because then what do you do, right? You got to still have a program. I mean,
I think it's
get
they've
everybody in
been
the draft.
introducing all these new names and faces, and it's getting a bit overcrowded. I think it needs to be gutted.
I guess we'll see.
I think you need like 10 people gone. 10 people gone.
Wow, that's a lot of people.
Mm.
I'm not sure I see 10, but I mean I see maybe 3 or 4 that are ready. But I guess we'll begin to know starting Friday night on SmackDown. So join us tomorrow on Workhorse Wrestling Network live for our SmackDown watch along and see who is drafted the first night of the draft. So after NXT opened with a really stupid spring break activity vignette, we were brought to the first match, the first ever, as the announcers made a point of saying it over and over again, trunk match on NXT or in WWE between the D'Angelo family and Pretty Deadly. That was a nice car that they came in.
Mm-hmm.
I got a nice car in my notes. I got okay match. I didn't think this match was super tight. I thought it was okay. I think both of these teams have had better matches. I'm not sure. I think they've had better matches together. I don't know if it was last night. I don't know if it was a trunk match concept. It just felt a little off for me between the two teams.
I dig the fire extinguisher spot.
Yeah.
I'm going to be real. Yeah. Usually the Tony D matches don't do it for me.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I like his character better than I like his in-ring work. But at the same time, his character is so... It's really so terrible. It's unoriginal. It's cliche. It's stereotypical. It's really tacky. But I enjoy it still. It's funny. I laugh at it, and I still enjoy it.
He's been booked very well, though. Like, he had the match with Santos. Mm-hmm. He had the match with Dijak. He's been in all these multi-men matches, and now Pretty Deadly. Like, I feel like they've built him up for success. They've given him every opportunity.
Yeah, no, and I think he's done a decent job. His mic work and his personality is better than his in-ring work. I think they're waiting for his in-ring work to catch up. before they move him up. But I think he's probably right for the main roster at some point in the next year or so. Would be my guess. I don't know if Stacks will go with him. Probably not. I'd prefer to see him go. And even though I hate it when someone gets over with the gimmick and then they go to the main roster and they change his name and they give him something, I'd prefer to see him with something new. I don't really care. Even though I enjoy the gimmick, I think it's tacky, and I'd prefer they didn't do those kind of stereotypical gimmicks, just in general. But I don't know. D'Angelo family wins, putting a Pretty Deadly in the trunk of the car. Then I've got why am I notes say pulls up? Oh, Tiffany Stratton, a big black SUV pulls up in the most dangerous place WWE, the NXT parking lot, and Tiffany Stratton gets out and proceeds to cut a promo. And then wow, my notes get very bad here. Something must have happened here. I've got second match Braun v Nobody. It doesn't say. It just has a blank. So who did you're gonna have to lead the way here?
Andre Chase.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I just missed that or what. So how did that? Because I don't remember seeing that match. Anything to say about it? Heel Braun is great. I mean, it's the first time I've actually enjoyed Braun. As kind of this.
I think it works for him. I assume he's getting drafted. I assume, but who knows?
I think he's getting drafted. I think Grayson Waller's getting drafted. I don't think Melo's getting drafted yet. I think Melo's staying to defend the title for a little while longer. I'm not really sure. I could see Tiffany Stratton getting drafted.
I don't think so.
No, you don't think so? So
she's only been there like half a year.
So real quick, give us. You want 10 people gone? Who are the 10 people you viably see ready to go to the roster? The main roster. I mean, we got Braun Breaker.
Probably Waller.
You already said Braun Breaker.
Waller. Schism.
Okay.
How
many is that? Are we talking the whole group?
Cora Jade, Braun Breaker, yeah. And I'd probably say Perez too.
Yeah, Roxanne Perez could go. So you're at like 4 people. 5.
That's way more than 4.
Oh, I guess you're right. I guess technically you're right.
And Pretty Deadly.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I guess I like Pretty Deadly on NXT. I don't, there's not a whole lot going on NXT, and Pretty Deadly is one of the funner things of NXT, so I don't necessarily want to see it go away.
Apollo.
Yeah, I could see Apollo going back to the main roster, but he's already been there before and been lost in the shuffle. I mean, I have a feeling. I mean, to be fair, he's kind of lost in the shuffle on NXT too. But I have a feeling that if they asked him, he'd probably rather be on NXT. But maybe not. Maybe not. He'd rather be on Raw or SmackDown competing for a title. I'm sure, no doubt. But
Dijak.
Yeah. Dijak's another one.
You could probably draft Von Wagner too. I mean, I don't like him, but same difference either way.
So back to last night's or Tuesday's NXT. Braun beat Andre Chase, and then all I have is the next match, which is Melo versus Waller. I don't have any notes if anything happened backstage after.
That's not the next match.
Oh. So go ahead and enlighten us then.
Cora Jade is the next match.
Let's see, I missed a segment somewhere. I must have been doing something when the show was playing. You're probably sleeping. Okay, so who did Cora Jade wrestle?
Lyra Valkyria.
Okay, so tell us about that match.
It was a match and it happened.
It was a match that happened. I mean, they're
I,
definitely
I,
pushing.
I don't.
They're
I don't
definitely
care for
pushing
either
Cora
one of
Jade,
them.
and I don't like Cora Jade as a heel. I didn't like her
Mm-mm,
as a face with the skateboard either. I'm not sure
mm-mm.
what the
I
deal is.
think I like her better as a heel than I did as a face.
I think I do too, but I think that's only just because the skateboard face gimmick was so stupid. Like, if they had
Yes.
given her a decent face gimmick, I think it would have been better than this bad heel gimmick because the heel gimmick is really bad. So, I don't know. They obviously like her. They're pushing her, it feels like. So, then it wasn't Mello versus Waller.
Then Dijak tagged Ilya Dragunov.
I missed a whole bunch of segment in the middle, I guess, then, because I didn't see that either.
Yeah.
So,
Then we had the match of the night.
which was Mello versus Waller.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Which I'm surprised wasn't the main event of the show, honestly. I was kind of surprised with its placing. But yeah, really good match. I mean, lots of good spots. Waller is both of these guys are ready for the main roster. Melo's going to hang out a little bit because he's going to have a title. He's going to have a few title defenses. This was a big win for Melo, I thought, because they've been pushing Waller. Yeah, I've got great match here. I would give it 4 out of 5 stars. I thought it was really solid.
It made me think that Waller will be the champion in the future, though, if he doesn't get drafted
If he doesn't get
first.
drafted, well, and he'll be a champion probably on the main roster at some point. Would be my guess. A minimum
Hmm.
intercontinental champion or something to that effect for sure. Uh, then what? Then I've got Brooks and Kiana James versus Briggs and Henley.
Yeah, that was
This match,
a lot of people like this, but like it's not for me. I'm
I like this. I like this
sorry, folks.
match. I like this match. I'm getting more into the whole like story, and I find it kind of fascinating. I thought the
Uh,
match was done well
dude in
in
the
the ring.
purple shirt in the front row on the far left hand side, like his reactions, I was really enjoying though. I will say,
I didn't actually catch those, so I was
but
watching the
like
ring.
when she was like, "I've never loved you," and then the dude in the purple shirt reacting, I was that might have been moment of the night. I'm gonna give dude in purple shirt as MVP.
There you go. Let's see. I've got in my notes best friends, emotional match. I liked it. Brooks got the win, which is kind of how it's setting up because they're the heels, so the faces have to overcome them. That didn't surprise me. I thought Brooks would win the first match. Yeah, I mean, I thought they did a good job. I like the storytelling here. I'm getting more into it. Josh Briggs is such a good wrestler, and he's. I mean, at first I felt like he was being really underutilized, and he is as a wrestler. But um,
I
I
think Brooks is the better of the two,
in ring.
and character.
Wow, wow, really interesting. See, I watch a lot of Josh Briggs and Evolve, and I'm a huge Josh Briggs fan. He was a champion in Evolve for a while, and I'm a huge Josh Briggs fan. So I'm not. I haven't watched as much Brooks matches as I have Briggs matches, so I guess I'm probably a hair biased. But yeah, I'm a huge Josh Briggs fan.
I'm just going off of what I've seen on NXT.
Yeah, yeah,
I
yeah.
I haven't watched Evolve since Austin Theory was in it.
Well, they wrestled a few times. Josh Briggs and Austin Theory wrestled a few times. They had some really good matches actually
Hmm.
on Evolve. So let's see. Then we had Brooks got the win. Then we moved on to a Dragon Lee promo backstage, um, which I like Dragon Lee. I'm glad that he's
Oh yeah,
getting some more um, mainstream eyes on him. Um, he's one of those guys I could see potentially being drafted, even though he just came up to WWE or to NXT not too long ago. Just because I think he's a little. I know he's still young, but a little older, and I think he's seasoned enough that he's ready for the main roster. I mean, he'll probably get lost in the shuffle, but I don't know. I could see him getting drafted. Um, then the fifth match we had Oba and a squash, the new Oba. What was his last name? Oba something? I missed his last name.
Mensa? I don't know. I'm taking a wild guess.
Big
I
dude,
can
huge
Google it.
guy, huge guy. It was essentially a squash match. I didn't even write his opponent's name down because it was such a squash. I thought that was a way to just further bury the guy, so I don't even know the guy's name. Um, but yeah, Oba looks the part. We'll see if he can do it. I mean, there's definitely a new guy in the mix in NXT. Um, yeah. Then we had Gigi Dolan giving a promo essentially on the commentary microphone. It's kind of weird. Talking to JC Jane
Yeah.
and how she was going to challenge her to a match next week, not at whatever it is, but just next week. I don't know if they're going to do something around Backlash, but they will fight each other next week. Gigi Dolan and JC Jane. Then we had Drew Gulak and Charlie Dempsey backstage. I like these two. I'm a huge Charlie. I'm a huge Drew Gulak fan. I like Charlie Dempsey. I'm starting to get there with Dempsey. He reminds me a lot of Timothy Thatcher, but kind of without the extreme ruggedness. He's a little bit easier to look at. But he just reminds me of him kind of in his style, is kind of minimalistic ring gear and the way that he wrestles in the ring. So, and I miss
I
Toothless.
think he'd make a good tag team with Matt Riddle.
Yes, yeah, I could see that. They'd be really good together. I could see a stable with Gulak and Dempsey and Riddle. That would be awesome. Like that would be a kind of like a catch point from whatchamacallit, from Evolve, where it's like iron sharpens iron, kind of a Blackpool Combat Club style thing where you have like you put a group of guys together that are highly technical or highly whatever, and they wrestle each other, and iron sharpens iron type of situation, and that kind of thing where and I could see Gulak and Dempsey and whatchamacallit being great together. Um, so Riddle, yeah, so that'd be awesome. That led to the main event, the triple threat between Tiffany Stratton, Roxanne Perez, and Indy Hartwell. I mean, a good match. You know, I I'm a little surprised that this was a main event over Mello and Waller, but again, I'm never upset when the women get the main event spot and get to
Hmm.
shine. So that's great. I thought all three looked good. Indy retains, which
Hmm.
doesn't surprise me. Um, I think it's a little unfortunate for Roxanne Perez that I mean, maybe it's not because Indy kind of offered it to her. Maybe it's not her mandatory match, but I thought it was a little unfair that she doesn't get a one-on-one rematch with Indy. Um, or one-on-one match with Indy that Tiffany's involved, but it is what it is. I mean, it's good to see Indy take that kind of I'll beat anybody role. And she won. She retained and looked good. I thought really solid match, some really good spots. All three women I thought shined. Yeah. I mean, you got anything else you want to say about it?
No.
No.
Uh, Good match. Love the ladies.
Yeah, I mean, I assume you were slightly disappointed with Roxanne losing again because you're a huge Roxanne Perez fan.
Well, I assumed she wasn't gonna win, so.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think they would hot potato the title like that. I assume Indy will have a few, a few defenses, successful defenses before she. But you never know. Indy's one of those people that I didn't think she needed the title, and I thought she was ready to go to the main roster. So I wouldn't be surprised to see her as one of the people drafted. I think she's main
You
roster
know,
material.
honestly, I'd kind of like to see Roxy and Tiffany make a tag team and challenge Fire Island.
Yeah, Fire Island. Uh, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to that. I mean, I could see any of these three women in the main event: Tiffany Stratton, Roxanne Perez, and India Hartwell, either being all three of them potentially being drafted, or any of the three of them being drafted. So, um, you let's see. I thought it was an okay episode of NXT. I thought Raw was better than NXT this week. I thought Raw was
Hmm.
okay. I mean, it's the Bloodline story is getting a little long in the tooth for me, just in general. But other than that,
Here's the thing: is that the Raw and the NXT are probably the best episodes we're gonna see in about a month, maybe longer.
Yeah, that's probably true. Although next week is the go home show, right, for Backlash, so we'll have to see what that Raw looks like. Maybe we'll get a decent Raw. On that note, we've already talked about this for way longer than we ever have before. 50 minutes we've been talking to you about Raw and NXT, so we'll go ahead and wrap this bad boy up. If you're watching this, please comment below, hit that like button. We'd love to hear what you have to say about the show. Um, and join us every Tuesday night at 7:30 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Cookout, where we come with a topic and end up talking about all sorts of crazy shit, cooking up all things in the world of professional wrestling. I think that I'm not sure what the topic will be. We'll tell you the topic on Friday Night Fight for Tuesday.
Did you not want to go with my idea?
No, I did. I thought 30 was a little high, so I thought maybe we could do 10. But then CM suggested another topic. I thought maybe we could do both topics. So I don't know if you saw CM's suggestion, but you should check it out.
Well, if we're only doing 10, then we definitely have time to do another topic.
Well,
Because
there's that.
we can probably bust through 10 in 35 minutes.
Yeah, probably, depending on how much we actually talk about where we seat these people. And again, just to be clear, this is favorites, not best, right? So I mean, we're talking about our 10 favorite women's wrestlers, correct?
I think my favorites are the best.
You have but you must admit that you do like some people that are also not considered the best by other people in general, right?
The one I got flack for was Bianca Belair, and I'm like, man, how are you guys going to give me flack for having her number 5 on my list?
Yeah, join us every Friday night for Friday Night Fights, where we watch SmackDown Live and Rampage Live. And check out All for Naught, which you're watching right now, which drops usually on Wednesdays. This week it'll be on Thursdays. Check out Under the Radar with myself and CM, where we review AEW Dark Elevation, Impact, MLW, ROH, and BTE. That's pre-recorded and drops on Saturdays, usually around 11 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. So thanks for joining us again for another episode of All for Naught, and we'll see you next time. Peace.